Welcome back to another short video on the X165 GLS Mercedes. Should be the same process for a GL, R-Class, GLE, ML. Anyway, so the gist is we're going to be doing brakes on this. The fronts have about 3 millimeters left. They are 2-piston sliding calipers. We're going to start just by taking the anti-rattle bracket off. How I typically do that is just put my palm on it and push it away. We have two 19 millimeter carrier bolts. The slide pins on this are 11 millimeter Allens. They did use thread lock on the main 19s, so make sure you have a very strong impact or a very large ratchet. After I take off the anti-rattle clip, the first thing I'm going to be doing is compressing the pistons and the caliper. You can do this with a special tool, otherwise I use a pry bar. Just make sure it's bottomed all the way out and you're careful. What we're doing here is just making room for the new pads. So I've pulled off the little plastic caps. These are the 11 millimeter guide pins. You'll have to turn these counterclockwise and remove them. Ideally, you want to clean them and grease them as well when you put them back in. Once the caliper is off, you can remove the bracket with the two 19 millimeter bolts shown here. They do have thread locker from the factory, so I did put that back on once I replaced the brakes. Here you can see a Torx T30. This is in the rotor retainer bolt. Once that is off, get a large hammer and just start hammering on a radius on the back side of the rotor until it pops off. Once it has popped off, you'll see a flange that looks like this. I would recommend you take a wire brush to the flange just to kind of get any surface corrosion off. You don't necessarily have to, but you'll have a much more true run out if you do that. So I'm using Zimmermann coated rotors. They are what you would find in a different box in the Mercedes parts department, but just to give them the best possible chance of seating. Essentially, there you have it right there. So nice and clean. Zimmermann rotor is on with the retainer, caliper brackets back on with the 19s with the thread lock. Around 100 foot-pounds should be plenty for those bolts. After you have the bracket on, set the outer pad in and clip the inner pad into the pistons. Then set the caliper back on the assembly. Lube up your guide pins with all-purpose grease, whatever, any grease works. Just put a little bit on the leading edge, slide them in, tighten them down. I would say these you should be fine with somewhere around 10 or 15 foot-pounds, but look at spec. I've been doing this a lot, so I just kind of eyeball it. Calipers back on. Make sure you put the plastic caps back on the guide pins, and I'm going to show you how to put this back on. Line it up, give it a good firm press in with the palm of your hand, and you're done. Thanks for watching.